UFC Atlantic City just recently wrapped up, and I'm going to recap the entire card. I'll start with the first fight of the night and then work my way up to the main event. Make sure you guys smash the like button, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe. I want to drop some quick takeaways before we get into the fight-by-fight recap. Vicente Luque is washed. Erin Blanchfield isn't quite ready for the top yet. Manon Fiorot's a man. No, I'm honestly kidding. She's really good. Right now, I'd say best women's flyweight in the world. Chris Weidman's actually not that bad. Eye pokes aren't fouls in MMA anymore, specifically in the UFC. Kyle Nelson is a Canadian Chad, and I'd say like their last hope for a contender at this point. And final is never doubt Nate the Train, baby. Let's get into this. We're going to start it off with our first fight. It was our early prelim opener between Colin Loughran and Angel Pacheco. Loughran got a clear decision, was able to control on the ground a bit, did some damage on the feet. Pacheco's a guy that makes for entertaining fights, and he was entertaining, even losing here to Loughran, but clearly unmatched or unskilled enough. Unskilled enough? Maybe not the word. Less than skilled. Loughran was the better fighter, and he clearly won the fight. He finally got a UFC win. Granted, McKee, he's got 10 fights in the UFC. He was 0-1. He's now 1-1. Prospect from Cage Warriors that was supposed to be pretty decent gets a W, but I'm telling you, Pacheco will be back because the style is very fun to watch. But he's just actually got to start being effective with some offense and not just taking a fuckload of damage and like landing some counters in exchanges. He needs to start getting some Ws. But Loughran, fun to watch, decent fighter. Quality win, good scrap, fun back and forth. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card, we had Jacob Malkoun versus Andre Petroski. Malkoun boxed him up. Malkoun boxed him up in the first round. I predicted that even though they're both grapplers, you're going to see a lot of striking, and Malkoun's hands were better. But the sequence to end the fight was weird. Petroski shot a takedown and seemed to like thrash his head against Malkoun's hips. And then he was dazed and wobbled. And then Malkoun soccer kicked him to the body. Then the referee jumped in and stopped it. It was an awkward finish to the fight. But Malkoun deserves some respect. I mean, the ground game is solid. Even though Petroski did land a late takedown in the first round, Malkoun was able to bounce back up. His hands look pretty decent. He does have a well-rounded game. I think he's solid. I mean, he's calling out, top 15, top 10. I don't quite think that's next for Malkoun, but he's definitely a tricky out for a lot of people and pretty consistent fighter, in all honesty, if he's not getting disqualified. Beat up Petroski, man. Petroski might be getting cut, to be honest. He looked bad. Next fight on the card, we had Ibo Aslan and Anton Turkalj. This was our fight of the night on the card. Holy shit, it was a great scrap. Both these guys definitely deserve the 50K. Aslan looked so gassed in the second and third round, but was still able to secure a third round KO, dropping Turkalj. Turkalj was completely wobbled. His equilibrium was gone. Fight was stopped. Aslan's okay. I mean, he looks like an absolute Turkish Chad, and you would assume that he'd be a future top 15 contender, just looking at his frame and his record. But like actually watching him fight, his head just sits inside. It does not move. I mean, the dude is on the center line. He gets wild with looping hooks. Fun guy to watch. And he said he's here for knockouts, not just wins. I like the style. And I think we have a lot of fun fights with Aslan. If matched properly, I could see him getting some more UFC wins. But he's not all that top caliber. He's a good banger for sure. And he's got, some solid potential at 27. Turkalj still gave him trouble, though, and caught him with good punches. But the punching power of Aslan was legit. And it was a nice knockout win and a fucking sick fight. Deserving a fight of the night. Next one, Dennis Buzukja over Connor Matthews. Dude, Buzukja's wild striking was beautiful here. Landed some nice hooks, was quality in his grappling defense. Finished off Connor Matthews, knocked him out in the third round. I like the way that Buzukja was fighting. Like, finally gets his UFC win. I thought Matthews would be hittable on the inside, and he definitely was, man. Buzukja sits him. I was impressed. I mean, he got a performance of the night, gets a KO bonus. That's pretty fucking sick. Matthews was finished. When the hook landed, Matthews was absolutely finished. Buzukja's a fun guy to watch. He's got a good style. He's only 26, man, so we got to give him some credit. He definitely can improve. Started off 0-2 in the UFC. Now finally gets a win, but I do think that UFC experience shined a lot in that fight. And he's a solid fighter. Buzukja's a quality guy. I mean, I'm not saying he's top 15, far from it. But he trains at Serra-Longo. You know he's got some potential on him. It was a fun scrap and a good knockout. Buzukja got it done, and I was happy for him, man. Conor Matthews also got shafted by Conor McGregor on Twitter. He's like, who is this other Conor? I'm the only Conor in the UFC. That was funny. Next fight, Julio Arce, Herbert Burns. I should have added to the early notes that Herbert Burns is a jiu-jitsu fighter, not an MMA fighter. Julio Arce was calculated in the first round and stopped every takedown attempt. Second round, he started landing shots. And like, as Herbert Burns tends to, he completely falls apart when shit goes sideways. Because like, he kind of just fears getting punched in the face. Like, when people shaft jiu-jitsu, guys, they think of Herbert Burns, somebody that has really good skills on the ground, not a good ability to get it to the ground, and completely turtles up when you punch him. Like, just hates getting hit. Not to say that anybody loves getting punched clean in the face. I mean, there's a few psychos, Sean Strickland maybe, but the way that Burns reacts to headshots is horrible. The dude completely breaks. Like, I'm sorry, even though Arce landed clean shots, Herbert Burns has no heart. Like, he loses confidence and he falls down. I know that at Easter dinner tomorrow, like, Gilbert Burns is going to not even want to look at him. Gilbert Burns, I'm like, come on, man, what the fuck? I'm a warrior. What are you doing? You laying down? Herbert Burns should be released from the UFC immediately. He's going to be. And I think he should stick with jiu-jitsu. Any type of combat with punches, like, bro, you send him to combat jiu-jitsu, I think he's tapping his strikes. That's not his thing. Keep him just in grappling. Arce looked calculated and technical. Quality performance. Takedown defense holds up as advertised. And the striking game looked good. He destroyed Herbert Burns. Absolutely broke him. Burns is done. Cut him from the UFC. Next fight on the card. Verna Jandiroba versus Luque Godinez. Fuck, man. Verna takes out a good prospect in Luque. Verna on the ground is so awkward. In the second round, these girls had the weirdest leg entanglement, and it was just strange. It was strange. But Verna, you could tell, had that little bit of superiority in the grappling, the better jiu-jitsu, and she was physically strong. And Luque didn't have a clear enough striking advantage where you were in any worry of significant damage when they were mixing it up in the feet. And then Verna finishes the fight very strong. I definitely thought she was the rightful winner at the end. Good grappling, positional control, takes the back of Luque a bit. Luque, I was thinking what Luque should have done is went to the center of the octagon and just spun in a circle like 3-4 times, got Verna dizzy, and then tried to like explode against the cage like Crazy Horse Charles Bennett did years ago. I think something like that would have been Lupe's best bet to get Verna off her back, because Verna was like a damn boa constrictor, man. So stuck on you. Backpack game out of this world. And she ends up getting a big decision win against Luque, who was on a roll and is still a highly touted prospect from Mexico. Verna's 20-3, though. I mean, we got to start putting some respect on the name. With Verna, it's like normally she loses to girls that also can grapple fairly well with some striking. Luque here can grapple decently, and she's got some okay striking too. But Verna was game. Like, it wasn't like she was even extremely outmatched on the feet, because with Luque, you have no threat of knockouts. She doesn't have much power. She's a peppering shotter, right? And she's able to put a pace on girls a lot. And Jandiroba was ready for that shit. So it was a good performance by Jandiroba. I think that it keeps her amongst the upper echelon of this women's strawweight division. I actually would like to see what are the potential options for her next, because she's currently, what, number 6 in the world? And she just beat Luque, who was really making a jump up after being number 12. I could see Verna in a good spot. You know, if Andrade wins against Rodriguez, that could be the fight. She could even fight the winner of Tisha Torres and Baby Shark, Tabitha Ritchie. I think that makes a lot of sense. Or if Carla Esparza comes back, I'd like that fight. But Verna's jiu-jitsu's nasty, man. Game is solid. We know she can wrestle, and her takedowns are definitely better than I anticipated. And their jiu-jitsu's good. Good control, good strength, deserved win. Next fight on the card, banger, featured prelim of the night. It was the fight that made my night, in all honesty. Holy shit. Nate the Train was getting absolutely rocked early in the fight. And then he ends up flattening Jamall Emmers in the first round. I mean, when I look at Nate the Train, I'm like, that's the fighter's fighter. That's the guy that we all want to watch, the fan favorite style. The dude is a slugger, can take insane amounts of damage and deliver insane amounts of damage. He drowned Jamall Emmers out there. He broke Jamall Emmers, okay? What happened was Jamall Emmers was touching him up early, and he was probably excited. All right, I'm going to knock Nate out. Nate doesn't go out, and then Emmers is moving back. I knew that Jamall Emmers didn't have much left when he looked at that clock and he was running away from Nate the Train. And Nate's like, motherfucker, I'm going to get you. The uppercuts, the shots, the way that Jamall was out. Like, the ref could have jumped in a second earlier because there was like 3 good extra shots landed from Landwehr as Jamall was flat out. It was a sick KO and definitely deserving of this knockout of the night bonus. Give him the 50K, an absolute 10 out of 10 underdog, Nate the Train Landwehr. I love watching Nate the Train fight. Who the fuck doesn't? The dude's an absolute slugger who's always entertaining, and he just chinned Jamall Emmers brutally. It was a great performance, and I like Nate the Train's game. Nate the Train in the UFC. Nate the Train. Flex that bicep, Nate the Train. Next fight was our main card opener. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the likes, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe. You know what? I got to take a sip of water before this one. Let me take this fucking sip. So, this fight kind of sucked. I expected Chidi to get a knockout earlier in the fight. Now, granted, clean decision win for him over Rhys McKee. McKee's mid, though. Like, so mid. McKee is tightening up, closing the gap, and just trying to clinch fight. He had nothing for Chidi from striking on the outside. Chidi was on point with leg kicks, decent elbows in close. McKee's got good durability. We'll give him that straight out the gate. It just wasn't the scintillating win that I was hoping for with Chidi and Njokuani dropping back down to 170. I don't see Chidi making any type of run at 170. Yes, I want to see him fight at 170 again. I think there's more matchups that are intriguing in the future. But the Rhys McKee fight just left something to be desired for me. It wasn't a split decision, though. Whoever that judge was, I don't remember the name, but whoever that judge was that called this fight a split motherfucking decision needs to be fired, because there is no way in hell you score this fight for Rhys McKee. 0. You have to be blind. I think a blind guy would score it better. I think Stevie Wonder, just listening to the sounds of the shots, would know who's winning. How the fuck do you score it for Rhys McKee? Craziness. Chidi got a W. But yeah, left something to be desired for me. I mean, it was a clean win. It was good. He gets a 3-fight losing streak, snapped here, which is good. He needed to get past it because that was a bad look for him. But man, I don't know. I expected more. Maybe I expect too much out of Chidi. If you guys remember when he first burst onto the UFC scene, I was like a Chidi Bang Bang fan base. You know what I'm saying? I was on the bandwagon all the way through and through. And I like Chidi. I pick him a lot. Didn't love this fight. Quality kickboxing performance, technical Muay Thai, very reminiscent of like true Muay Thai, calculated and calm pace, but just not a scintillating knockout. Next fight on the card, we had Kyle Nelson and Bill Algeo. Bro, the last Canadian Chad, okay? That's what we're looking at here. This is the final of the Canadian Chads. It's Kyle Nelson. He's the only one left. He put it on Bill Algeo, and I am going to see the comments. It was an early stoppage. Maybe it could have gone a little bit longer. But Bill Algeo looked like his legs were actually made of gelatin, the way that he was wobbling all around. He couldn't stand upright. And then Kyle Nelson still throwing heat at him. And the ref jumps in. Was it a second early? Maybe. But do I think the result would have changed? No. Kyle Nelson looked like a motherfucking blade. I was hyped because I picked Kyle Nelson and barely anybody in the world picked Kyle Nelson. 13%. I was one of the small minority that picked Nelson. I guess same with Landwehr too, but Landwehr's like a more popular dog. Kyle Nelson minds his P's and Q's striking really well, and Algeo's flow style is there to be hit. And Kyle Nelson made him fucking pay, and I was so happy to see it. Nelson looked like a savage out there. And after the fight, Kyle Nelson proved that he's got the biggest sack in all of Canada. The last hope for Canadian Chad. You think I'm fucking around when I say that? He called out Nate Landwehr. Yeah, I'm in. Kyle Nelson just beat Bill Algeo, who's legit as fuck, and he finished him. Nate Landwehr just knocked out Jamall Emmers. Kyle Nelson, Nate Landwehr, are you kidding me? That would be an excellent fight. Battle of two tough-ass strikers. American Chad, Canadian Chad. Let's see who's the tougher SOB. I want it. Kyle Nelson looked good, man. I was impressed with Kyle a lot. I like Kyle Nelson a lot. The dude minds his P's and Q's well. He picks his shots well. Quality performance for Kyle Nelson, man. Next fight on the card. Nursultan Ruziboev versus Cedric Dumas. This fight, out of all the fights, was so fucking weird. I guess this wasn't the only weird one. Ruziboev got a stoppage in the first round, but it was an eye poke, a double eye poke, right? Or is that the Weidman fight that's a double eye poke? I think I'm misremembering. No, this was a singular eye poke. Ruziboev eye pokes Dumas. Dumas is like grabbing his eye and turning away. And then Ruziboev's throwing shots at him, like rocks him with an uppercut. Down goes Dumas and ground and pound. And then you look at the replay. There was a clear eye poke. The referee completely missed it. I think it was Vitor Ribeiro. Yeah, he missed it. Didn't Ribeiro used to fight? Was he in Pride FC or am I delusional? I don't know. Somebody in the comments let me know. Nursultan Ruziboev is good. He's got quality stand-up for sure. Dumas was not completely out of the fight. And even though Ruziboev got a knockout win, the eye poke is the reason that this fight ended. And I said earlier in the video, eye pokes aren't fouls in MMA. Should this fight have been a no contest? Probably. Was the eye poke what led to the stoppage directly? No, but it's what aided the shot that landed for Ruziboev that knocked out Cedric Dumas seconds after the eye poke. It's not like it was 3 minutes later or even 30 seconds later. It was like 8 seconds later, 5 seconds. I don't know. I haven't gone back. Fucking something in my eye over here. I'm crying, actually. I'm crying tears right now. I'm crying, man. I'm crying for the lack of fucking eye poke fouls. Because, like, they're not legal strikes, man. And this wasn't a TKO. It shouldn't have been. And I was confident on Ruziboev, but I'll just say it straight up. Dumas got eye poked. His eye got fucking gouged. That's why he got stopped. If I'm the commission, I'm like, man, unfortunately, I think it's a no contest. That sucks. That's not what any fighter wants to hear. But the sequence that led to the finish, a major factor in an ending was the fucking eye poke. And then the uppercut, then the ground and pound. Busted Dumas's face up bad. That's how the game goes, though. Ruziboev gets an impressive W. I mean, is it impressive? Maybe not. He gets another W. He's 2-0 in the UFC with 2 KOs. I don't know how far he's going to take it. I mean, he's definitely good with the stand-up. I like Ruziboev against these lower-level middleweights, but as you turn that competition level up, I think he might struggle. We'll see what's next for him, though. Ruziboev with the W. He beats Cedric Dumas regardless of the eye poke. Next fight on the card. Fucking eye pokes galore. Bruno Silva, Chris Weidman. So this one here was weird because there were several eye pokes throughout the fight by Chris Weidman. Multiple that seemed to affect Bruno Silva. And Bruno had some striking moments, but Chris Weidman was winning. That's why at the beginning I said, key takeaways, Weidman's not that bad. Weidman was outstriking Bruno, and he rocked him slightly in the first round with that head kick. That head kick was nice. Chris Weidman was winning the fight. He definitely deserved the win if you're talking about on a judge's decision, because officially it's a decision win for Weidman, even though in the moment it was called a knockout. Double eye poke led to Bruno Silva then like turtling up, falling over, and then ground and pound strikes. The thing is, because of the accidental foul, if Bruno Silva then was unable to continue at that point, which technically speaking he wasn't, right, because he turtled up and went down, the fight will go to the judges' scorecards because we're at the third round. We're some time in. The fight's judged for what's been up. And Chris Weidman was clearly the winner. Bruno Silva landed some decent strikes in the fight, But Chris Weidman was pretty on point. He controlled a lot of the first round against the cage. He was outstriking Bruno Silva in the second. And then third round, it looked like he dropped Bruno Silva. Really, it was the eye pokes. The fight gets stopped. Bruno Silva's freaking out. Weidman's celebrating like crazy. I got to tell you, man, Chris Weidman looked pretty fucking good, though. Like, can we not give credit where it's due? Forget about the controversy in the ending. Chris Weidman looked better than we've seen in a long time. This was a la prime Chris Weidman. Obviously, it's a 39-year-old Chris Weidman, but he's still got some fight left in him. I want to watch Chris Weidman fight again. He didn't go down easy when Bruno punched him in the face. He still got a good chin. And I think this performance here, he looked way better than he did against Brad Tavares. I think this Chris Weidman beats Brad Tavares. He also looked more jacked than normal. Huh, USADA's gone? More jacked? I don't think there's nothing suspicious going on. Listen, bro, a little TRT past 35. You're going to have a lot more longevity in the game. A fuckload more. I don't know exactly what's going to be next for Chris Weidman, but he did deserve the win against Bruno Silva, regardless of the unfortunate eye pokes and the fact that Chris Weidman, you know, can probably be compared to John Jones at this point with how many times he's poking fighters in the eyes, specifically Bruno Silva. Bruno's pissed. It is what it is, man. Bruno Silva's a good banger, but, like, let's not act like he was looking good. He was looking shit. Weidman looked really solid. I'm not trying to take away from Weidman's performance, but, like, Silva looked kind of slow on his feet, clunky with the striking. May I say Bruno Silva, overrated Brazilian fighter? Probably. Somehow gave Pereira a great fight, though. Overrated, though. I'm glad Weidman got a win. Fuck it. I like seeing big upsets. And Chris Weidman getting back on track, regardless of how weird it went down, it was good to see that he's not going out flat on his back. Listen, Chris Weidman is just superior to all Silvas. So every Brazilian in the world right now listening, all Silvas, Chris Weidman can kick your ass. It's just how it goes. I'm sorry, Silvas. Anderson Silva, now Bruno Silva. Give him fucking Vanderlei Silva. Give him this young Silva on the come up. They're all getting their ass kicked. It's just how it goes. Chris Weidman beats Silvas. He's got you guys beat. He's superior, man. It just is what it is. Next fight on the card, co-main event. Joaquin Buckley destroyed Vicente Luque. Like, Luque's done. He's done. He's done. Luque's 32, but he's taking damage like as if he was 42. He's been in a lot of wars. First round was good. I thought Buckley was doing well with the striking, closing the gap, decent shots landing, touched Luque with some decent ones. Then, second round, okay, competitive moments, okay. Luque's there, not a crazy disparity in the striking. And then Luque decides to pull guard. Like, he comes down for a takedown attempt, then pulls guard. And then Buckley just starts smashing him with ground and pound. And Luque does nothing. I have never been so fucking mind-boggled. What the fuck are you doing, Vicente Luque? That was signs of a guy that is taking way too much damage. I know he had a brain bleed in the past. I think Vicente Luque needs to hang up the fucking gloves. Because Buckley just started pounding on him. Boom, boom. Luque's not trying to get back up. He's not trying to hold on. He's here. It seemed like he was 10 shots deep just getting ground and pounded. He was in a fucking daze. It was weird. It didn't make any sense. For Buckley, this is crazy. Because he's burst into the upper echelon now. He just beat the number 11 guy in the world. Are the UFC going to do Buckley dirty, though? Are they going to give him Neil Magny next, and then he's going to lose a snooze fest of a decision and get sent back outside of the rankings? Because I was looking at the rankings. I'm like, who the fuck would be next? Maybe Neil Magny? Could do a Jeff Neal fight, Battle of Southpaws. Or Buckley stays ready, can jump in and, you know, fight short notice against somebody. Or if they want to give MVP an easier fight, no diss to Buckley, but on paper, easier fight, MVP in England versus Buckley on a pay-per-view card? I don't know. Not a horrible idea. Buckley falls into the stylistic matchup that's favorable for MVP, but also enjoyable to watch because Buckley's going to be swinging for the fucking fences. I like the idea of doing it. For Luque, I'm serious, bro. Call it. Call it. He's not the same. He's not the fucking same. Vicente Luque is not the same. His blade is not sharp anymore. His blade is fucking dull. I don't know. His blade is like this. His blade is as dull as these pairs of scissors, bro. I'm not cutting my finger on this. I'm fucking around. I'm not bleeding. You get what I'm saying, though? The blade is no longer sharp. You got to put it down, Luque. Just to be real, I think Luque's got to call it. He looked like shit. He looked like shit. He looked like he got nothing left. And that's the God honest truth. Buckley looks sick, though. Good performance, Buckley. Welcome to the top 15, bro. And the main event of the evening. If you guys haven't, make sure you smash the likes. And if you're new, subscribe. Man on Fiorot, outstruck, outworked, even out takedown. I won't say out grappled. But outdid Erin Blanchfield for 5 rounds. Fiorot's gas tank is there. She picked Blanchfield apart. She stopped every fucking takedown. She even took Blanchfield down once in the first and then almost got guillotined because of it. And then she's like, all right, I'm not going back to the takedowns. And then was just throwing Erin aside as Erin would try to shoot. And just absolutely jabbed her up. Kicks, movement. Man on Fiorot put on a masterclass of a performance. 5 rounds of dominant work where she clearly had the edge over Erin Blanchfield. I was impressed by Man on Fiorot's gas tank, too. To go 5 rounds with Erin Blanchfield, who's a consistent pressure fighter, and Blanchfield gave it hell. She landed a high kick in the 5th round that seemed to buzz Fiorot a little bit. Well, Fiorot's just a tank. She's absolutely jacked. She's got great cardio. And she picked Blanchfield apart. Blanchfield's a little too young. That's what I think. 24, when that muscle develops. At 26, now we're talking. 27, now we're talking. She's tough as fuck. Erin Blanchfield's going to fight for your money. She's a girl I bet on again. Regardless of the outcome here, because Erin Blanchfield is the type of fighter that does not break. There's a lot of fighters that could have gave up 3 rounds. Fuck this. Fall over. I'm done. Blanchfield keeps swinging. Keeps coming. That Jersey toughness all the way. I rep with Erin Blanchfield forever, bro. And I'd back her again. And in plenty of fights coming forward, I'm going to be backing more of Erin Blanchfield because I think she's an absolute pit bull. Tough as fuck. Doesn't break. Keeps on coming. But disparity in the skill was real. And Man on Fiorot deserved the win at the end of this thing, for sure. Not even close. 5 rounds to zip on my scorecard. And I was high on Blanchfield. I was ready to go. I said, Blanchfield lock. I threw it down. It's in Jersey. Of course, I had to go for the Jersey Savage. And she got picked apart. French Queen, Man on Fiorot, looks on her way to a world title. I think she's the uncrowned champ right now because Blanchfield had the win over Talia Santos, who deserved the win over Shevchenko, uncrowned champ. Blanchfield won the uncrowned champ title. Man on Fiorot beats Blanchfield over the 5 rounds. Man on Fiorot is the best women's flyweight. It's not Alexa Grasso. Fuck no. Shevchenko in her prime, different level. Now I think she's past it. I think Fiorot beats her too. I think that whoever wins between Shevchenko and Grasso is just keeping the belt warm because Fiorot's going to come and take it. And I think Blanchfield's eventually going to get a shot, and I think she can be a world champion. Fiorot's also 34. Blanchfield's 24. There's a lot of time for Blanchfield. These two might see each other again. 2 years from now, maybe it's a different fight. I'm all in for it. Erin Blanchfield, I saw people talking about her maybe versus Macy Barber. I don't know if I love that. Battle of the 2 young contenders and Blanchfield taking an L. Maybe send her back. Give her a little break. Take a bit of a hiatus. Or even at 125, if Hebos is not going to cut, maybe a Hebos fight. That was last week's main event. I could see that. That'd kind of be a cool matchup, Hebos and Blanchfield. I like that fight a lot. For Fiorot, it's a world title shot. What the fuck? Absolutely. Good W for Fiorot. Picked her apart. Deserved the win. Now as far as the picks on the card. 9 wins, 4 losses, post-weigh-in. Pre-weigh-ins, 10 wins, 3 losses. So my analytical self is more on point than when the weigh-ins get a hold of me. Jesus. Had a win with Loughran, win with Malkoun, win with Aslan, win with Buzukja. So after the weigh-ins, I'm like, oh, Arce missed weight. Yeah, let me pick Herbert Burns. Delusion. I did that for you guys, so you're welcome. I sacrificed one of my picks so you guys could all hit your parlays because everybody at Arce is a lock staple piece. So I took one on the chin. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Lost with Lupe over Verna. This one kind of blew my fucking mind here. Wow, Verna brought the heat. Is what it is. Nate Landwehr over Emmers. I had that one. Absolute underdog savagery. Cheat over McKee, of course. Nelson over Algeo, one of the few. Ruziboev over Dumas, of course. I lost to Bruno Silva, though. I thought Weidman was going to take an L. Good shit, Weidman. One with Buckley over Luque. And then, of course, I locked the women's fight, the main event. We're in Jersey. I tried to go absolute savage mode and double down. And you know what happened? I got front kicked in the face all night. Man on Fiorot takes her out. Closes me out with an L in the final fight. a great card altogether as far as the picks, and especially the underdog calls. I was on fucking point with the underdog calls. 3 underdog calls on point, and I'm very happy about that. But Blanchfield, she couldn't do it. She couldn't do it. Man, on Fiorot look good. Overall, though, quality bounce back card, and I'm feeling pretty solid about it. I'm looking forward to next week's card. I'll be breaking down that Vegas 90 card today, really. March 31st later on. It's Easter, though, so I'm going to enjoy myself. Happy Easter to all you guys. I appreciate you savages for tuning in. Make sure you smash the likes, and if you're new, subscribe. With those post notifications turned on, don't miss a video. Let me know in the comments what you thought. And if you got nothing to say in the comments, please enjoy the content. As always, drop a W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. Thank you guys for tuning into the week's worth of content, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.